Thank you. The sixth question comes from Scott Light for Mr. Scott.
You both have talked about jobs. Mr. Scott, you've said that there are reports out there that 30,000 jobs are going unfilled because our workforce isn't properly trained. Where'd you get that figure? What types of jobs are you referring to? And did they leave Columbus and go to another city, or are they still here unfilled?
Well, those figures actually come from the Columbus Dispatch. That was an article that was probably a year old. 30,000 jobs coming here and cannot be filled because of the lack of skills or diplomas. Those are just the facts. I think that might be something Mr. Ginther wouldn't even argue with me about, because we both read it and seen that. So I guess that's the question. Yeah, there's a big distinction between Columbus and the Columbus region. People get very confused about that. The Columbus region is 11 different counties. Now, the success story is correct. We have successes downtown. We do. We have great businesses. The problem we're running into, we still have 22% poverty. We got 17% working poor. We don't have a living wage. We have, the homeless is going down throughout the country by 15%. It's going up in Columbus by 7.6. We have the largest, or second in the country, of income segregation, inequality that's going on. These jobs are not getting filled. They're not getting filled by Columbus residents. They're getting filled by other residents. So yeah, those numbers came directly from the actual Columbus Dispatch. It was a great article, and it needs to be addressed.
Mr. Ginther, your response.
So currently, there are 34,000 jobs that have can't be filled by folks that are living here currently. 34,000 jobs that are being offered by the private sector, where we don't have the residents with the skill set, background, or certification to fill those positions. At the same time, we have 32,000 folks who've been looking for work for 12 months or longer. It's not a perfect overlap there. Some of those 32,000 are restored citizens, folks who have paid their debt to society and are returning to our community. This city has the second highest number of restored and returning citizens to our community of any city in the state. And that's why the Restoration Academy is so important for us to continue to grow, and working with great partners like the Alvis House to make sure we're giving pathways to prosperity for folks that are returning to our community, that have paid their debt, that are wanting to contribute back to their neighborhoods and their quality of life. But this is why we need to become the apprenticeship capital of the Midwest. There are great opportunities and lessons that we can learn from abroad in Germany and other places around this country. For too long, the educational establishment and elite have looked down their nose at vocational education and apprenticeship. And there are huge opportunities there. And you can take a look at the basic field of construction and the fact that we have folks coming from all over this country to work on some of the biggest projects going on in our community. Those can be our kids and our workers if we embrace and build the apprenticeship model of the future.
Mr. Scott, your rebuttal.
What I'd like to see us do is actually have more vocational training, partner with our universities, get involved with our schools to make sure that our kids are work ready when they leave the schools, so that we don't have this situation again. It's unfortunate that this situation is occurring. Again, it shows years of not paying attention to what the importance are, the priorities, to make sure that our citizens have jobs. So now we're at a critical mass trying to figure out how to fix it now. It should have been addressed a long time ago.
The seventh question comes from Lucas Sullivan for Mr. Ginther.
Mr. Ginther, the need for affordable housing in Columbus dwarfs the available space. CMHA recently received 24,000 applications for low-income vouchers, housing vouchers, for 200 available vouchers. How did this happen, and how are you going to help these families?
We know right now, and there's a great alliance that's been formed with folks from Homeport and Habitat for Humanity, other nonprofit leaders in the community, and actually was with them today down at the Reeve Avenue Community Center. And we currently have estimates that we are about 54,000 units short in this community of affordable housing. And we know affordable housing gets to the root of so many of the challenges and issues in our community, whether it's infant mortality, the issue of mobility in our elementary schools, overall family stability. And so I committed today to work with this alliance, to work with public and private sector leaders, as we've tackled all big challenges in this community, to cut that deficit, that unmet need, in half over the next 10 years. Currently, the average cost of an affordable, decent place to live for a family for the city is $811 a month. And for many of our folks that are working hard and playing by the rules, that gobbles up over 50% of what they're bringing home into their household. Nobody that works hard and plays by the rules in the city of Columbus should live in poverty. And that's why the alliances work and the leadership of the mayor and city and county commissioners are so important. Because if we're going to become America's opportunity city with the largest middle class of any city our size in the country, we've got to commit to making sure that there are affordable, high-quality places to live for people who work hard in this community.
Thank you. Mr. Scott, your response.
I think your question, Lucas, was how did this happen? And I think we're going to go back to statistics that show Columbus numbers again. For the last decade, poverty's increased by 70% in the Columbus area. It's because people are not doing their jobs. That's as simple as I can make it. We have people that are struggling because they don't have a living wage, which Mr. Ginther could have signed into with City Council anytime, years ago. He keeps saying he's going to do these things, but he never does. The problem is we don't have the jobs to match the actual skills here again. We have no one that's leading to put this complete, comprehensive goal together, a plan that brings all the stakeholders in so they can sit down and we can all see where we need to get to, so that way we don't have these poverty levels that we have. Now, no one's been doing that. No one's done it for almost 10 years. But now all of a sudden, now that we have this homeless situation going on and it keeps going up and the poverty keeps going up and the lack of skills, now all of a sudden we're going to do something. Where has the city leaders been for the last decade is what I would be asking. So now I have a plan to put the coalition together to make sure that another 10 years pass, we're not sitting in the same situation saying, hey, we're going to do something. You know, as soon as I get in office, we're going to start doing something that day.
Mr. Ginther, your rebuttal.
Well, I think we have seen a theme continue this evening. Attacks, blame, looking the other way, and then a vision for the future that can work with the public and the private sectors to move these issues forward. You know, if we're committed as a community to work together to make sure that folks that are working hard and playing by the rules in our city aren't living in poverty, have an affordable, safe place to live, and have food on the table, that's what I think the people of Columbus are interested in hearing about, and that's what I'll focus on as mayor.
The eighth question comes from Lucas Sullivan for Mr. Scott.
It's about body cameras.
Okay.
And police officers. If you're elected in 2016, when you take office, will you keep Mr. Ginther's plan, or will you abandon that plan and the idea?
At this time, I would not keep his plan. There's no financial way to actually implement that plan at this time. What we've been doing actually I've been talking to the Columbus Police, I've been talking with several different police agencies in reference to how they're doing their body cams. We have to make sure that we put these body cams in a position, once they get here, that we're not hurting other citizens. The privacy issues surrounding these body cameras are starting to be problems in different agencies that are starting to use these cams. So what I want to make sure that I think Kevin Boyce and some others are working on actually changing some legislation when it comes to public records requests. Let's get some things in place so we're actually protecting the citizens and not actually jeopardizing our citizens or putting them in harm's way. When I've been going to the different areas of town where it's block watch groups or civic associations, they're more interested in having rec centers. They're more interested in having sidewalks. There seems to be a lot more priorities going on within our organization than the first thing to jump out there and try to pander to any group out there that would jump on it and say, I'm going to give you body cameras because I need to get your votes. So that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that we have our priorities. We make sure we have any projects or any campaigns that we go out there. We're going to do it right from the start so we don't jeopardize anybody that it may affect.
Mr. Ginther, your response.
Body cameras are exceptionally important to me and will be a top priority for me if elected your mayor. Body cameras are already becoming a law enforcement best practice around this country. A third of the divisions of police around the U.S. are already using body cameras. And if the Columbus Division of Police is going to remain the best division of police in the country, we've got to lead the way. And I understand there are folks that have questions about privacy. Those are the same folks that had questions when we had to deal with issues of privacy involving neighborhood safety cameras. The same issues we had to deal with privacy when we were taking a look at cameras in cruisers. We're going to deal with those issues in partnership with Representative Grossman and Representative Boyce. But we're not going to sit back and study and not be, leading the way with what is quickly becoming a best practice in law enforcement in this country. Can you imagine, friends, if the University of Cincinnati police were still studying the use of body cameras? Can you imagine, friends, what would have happened in North Charleston if there weren't video footage of what took place there? The people of Columbus want body cameras I'm not sure what parts of the city you're going to, Sheriff, but the parts that I've gone to, I think it's a top priority, not just to make sure we have accountability and transparency in place, but so that the citizens of Columbus can better understand the split-second life and death decisions that our officers face every day.
Mr. Scott, your rebuttal.
Let's be honest, Andy. The only reason you came out with this when you did, which you didn't invite the chief of police, you didn't invite the FOP, which was labor, is so you could pander for votes. That's the absolute truth, and you know it as I said here. Now, the problem with this, when you do rash decisions like that, you jeopardize people. I understand you've never handled a large number of employees. I understand that a lot of your decisions deal with, I guess, where you're eating lunch at or something, or maybe going golfing. But these are life and death situations that are going on all over the country. So I make decisions that are good for the residents, not for my votes.
The 9th question comes from Scott Light for Mr. Ginther.
Mr. Ginther, you and other Democratic leaders have said that Mr. Scott's ideas to fix schools are radical. What are some of the ideas you would present to the Columbus School Board if you become mayor?
Well, as you know, we've been working with the superintendent and the Board of Education and teachers and educators within the school district for a number of years now. And we put together the Education Commission and recommendations that we've moved forward, and we now fund over 500 high-quality preschool spots in the city of Columbus that all are Columbus City School students. We've continued to expand after-school programs and summer learning opportunities. I believe the mayor ought to be partner-in-chief to the school district superintendent and the Board of Education. I don't believe the rights of voters should be taken away from them to elect their school district leadership that hold the superintendent, the treasurer, and internal auditor accountable. That's the way the district is set up. The people of Columbus choose the leadership of the district. And I think it's very important, as a Columbus City School proud graduate and one that believes that there are outstanding learning opportunities for young people within the school district, there aren't high-performing schools in every neighborhood. And that's something that we need to continue to work on as a city. But it's got to be in partnership with the district. Dr. Good is making some tremendous gains and moving forward a district that had violated the public's trust. And I think it's very important that we continue to work with him and support and work with the people that the school district voters have elected to represent them.
Mr. Scott, your response.
Yeah, I'm going to have to address when he says that the school district violated the public's trust. No, Mr. Ginther, you violated the public trust. When you talk about being a chief partner, you were in charge of the audits committee. You're the one that actually got the information with the whistleblower's phone number to not damage our kids or give them or rob them of their opportunity to move forward with their careers. That's what you did. For you to blame it on the school district is unbelievable. These are real kids. I know we use the word data rigging, and it's nice to say data rigging, but these are real kids, thousands of kids. You killed the investigation. That is amazing that you just threw the school under the bus. Anyway, no, I believe in partnering, but I also believe that we have to make recommendations that are together with a coalition of jobs, labor, to make sure the schools are functioning, to get these vocational training, to make sure we start early, that the kids can see opportunities besides just college, but other ways to go with their careers. We have to set up real career paths. The only way we can do that is that we do this together. I was just reading an article just a couple days ago in reference to the listening tour and the Education Commission are not even on the same page. This is what's hurting our kids. We've got to be on the same page when it comes to getting this workforce development in progress. I don't know what else to say on that. It's amazing that he would throw the school under the bus after what he did.
Mr. Ginther, your rebuttal.
Well, the theme continues. We have a very contrast in views and thoughts tonight. One of attacks, lies, inaccuracies, and inaccurate charges. And then you have a vision for the future and a track record of expanding opportunity for some of the youngest and poorest residents of Columbus. I would encourage folks to do their homework, check the facts, and understand we have very clear differences in how we want to lead this city forward. One of us wants to take over the school district. One of us wants to work in partnership with the school district. And I believe the people of Columbus are smart enough to understand those differences and make decisions based on what's in the best interest of them and their families.
Scott Light has a follow-up.
Quick follow-up as I'm taking my notes here. Mr. Ginther, were you suggesting in talking about the people of Columbus needing representation on the school board that Zach Scott would blow up that model of representation?
Well, something we're still not sure of, because this was actually the only policy proposal that came from the sheriff in the primary election, and we haven't still seen any specific policy recommendation around his mayoral takeover plan. So that might be a question better for him, because we still haven't heard about that plan, and it was one of the only major policy proposals he's offered all year, except attacking me and the mayor and the progress we've made in the city of Columbus.
Mr. Scott, your response.
Well, first of all, I have no intention of taking over the school system.